Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Be Determined. Today we are going to be talking about the brand new garden update plus all the QOL changes that they did, which honestly I kind of like a lot of the QOL changes more than I like the actual garden update, but it's all a pretty big deal, so we're going to go over the whole thing. Let's jump straight into it. Alright, so there's a lot of QOL things both on the garden and outside of the garden, so we're going to talk about all that. The first thing we have to talk about is the composter. This thing got some massive buffs. So now there are composter upgrades, which can increase your composter speed, increase your chances of getting extra drop, increase your fuel cap, your organic matter cap, and the cost reduction. So basically it'll cost less fuel to fuel your composter and less organic matter to get compost out of it. But as you can see, I've already done a few upgrades on here. They're pretty substantial and they give 1 SkyBlock XP each, so we can actually see how much we can get from the skill related tasks in the farming section. And you can see these tiers go all the way to 25. There's 305 XP that you can get from this, so 3 total levels, and it's 1 XP per, so it's pretty ridiculous how much you can get from this. But that's not the only way you can get levels from the new update. They also added to where when you unlock unique garden plots, you're also going to gain 5 XP per plot, so you can get a total of 120 XP if you unlock all of the plots. I have 10 of them unlocked, so I have 50 XP from it, but we're going for that full XP in the future. The other big thing, which I'm sure you've heard about, is the increase to NPC sell price. So basically every single thing except for cocoa bean has at least double the sell price. So carrots, cactus, mushroom, all this stuff in here is going to sell to NPC for twice the price that it used to, which is a pretty big deal. So it's very, very profitable, especially in the early game, considering how cheap it is to get into farming compared to mining. You can make a ton of money in the pretty early game. Another thing they did is they made some NPCs cost a little bit less, so I don't think mine are updated because I had them since before this update rolled out, but NPCs should cost a little bit less to complete their offers now. Plus, there is actually a little more demand for getting Seymour's gear now because it is in museum as well. Another thing that they did is they increased the amount of copper you're going to get from NPCs by 30%, so you're going to be getting a little bit more copper from all these guys now as well, because they did add a lot more ways that you're going to be using it. It is used in the composter upgrades, as well as to buy some of the new items they added to the Sky Mart. There are actually 5 total reforged stones. Each one increases in farming fortune. The best one is this overgrown grass, which gives 25 farming fortune on legendary pieces, and that's per armor piece, so that's a pretty big deal. They also added in some pet items. So the first one is this yellow bandana, which grants 30 farming fortune no matter what pet you're using. The second one is actually called the green bandana. Now I don't actually have it unlocked on the server yet, but you can see it's here on the wiki. It is rewarded from garden visitors, so there's a few garden visitors that give it. I'm not sure which visitor it is yet, but we do know that's how you get it. There's also a couple new enchants, the first of which is dedication. Dedication grants 2 farming fortune for crops multiplied by your garden milestone for that crop. So this is a pretty big deal if you have a high milestone on the crop. And this is the level 4 enchant. So the level 1 enchant only gives half of a farming fortune per milestone, but this one is going to be a really good one to get. Now the way that you get this is from the Sky Mart, but sometimes the librarian will also give you a level 4 enchant. So that's a good way to get it as well, because if you pay with copper for a dedication enchant, it's going to cost you 2,000 copper to get 1 level 4 enchant, which is a lot. Then there's Green Thumb, which goes up to level 5, granting 0.05 farming fortune per level per unique visitor served. So for me, I have served, I think, 44 unique visitors. You can check your logbook to see how many you've done. So I've done 74 unique visitors, and I'm still missing some. There's 4 visitors that I'm still missing. So 78 total visitors available, which with Green Thumb 5 could be a total of 20 some farming fortune. But it's mad expensive. You need 16 Green Thumb 1 book to make a Green Thumb 5. That's 24,000 copper for 1 book, for 1 tool. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get maxed out tools now, but that also means the amount of money that can be made from this is even higher than it was before, not just because of the NPC sell prices going up, but just because farming fortune can get so much higher now. Speaking of farming fortune, they also added to where seeds now give farming fortune. So before, it used to be so that seeds were not increased by your farming fortune. That's why getting boxes of seeds was such a pain for crappie armor. But now they're affected by farming fortune, so ever how much wheat you're getting, you should be getting about the same amount of seeds. So that's a pretty big deal. But on top of the other ways to gain farming fortune, you also gain farming fortune for your unique crops. So you'll gain 3 farming fortune for your plots, not crops. So each unique plot is 3 extra farming fortune. So that's another big money increase. But another thing, speaking of farming tools, is that you can also buy farming tools on the auction house now. So if we just look up sugar cane, the lowest price is 4 mil and the highest price is 2.1 billion coins for a 10 million counter sugarcane. I'm pretty sure that's not worth. This is more like it. 826 million counter sugarcane hoe. Slightly better, just slightly. And it's only 420 million coins compared to this. This is definitely overpriced. So if you want high counters on your tools, but you don't want to farm it yourself and you're rich, you don't have to anymore. They also made it so Jacob and Anita will have their own locations now. So if we go ahead and apply a new barn skin, you'll have to do this to make sure that they get transferred to wherever their new location is. But once this is done posting, they should have their own locations on whichever barn you have. But they also added 3 new accessories. So thankfully, they're all upgrades of each other. So first you have the crappie talisman, which is 4 stacks of crappies. It grants 10 farming fortune, but only for wheat, carrots, and potatoes. Then there is the squash ring, which you need 2 stacks of squash, grants 20 farming fortune, and adds on melons, pumpkins, and cocoa beans. And then there's the fermento artifact, which you need 8 condensed fermentos for. Each condensed fermento is 9 fermentos, so 72 total condensed fermentos. And that's also the amount of condensed fermentos that you need to make a full fermento armor set, but it does grant 30 farming fortune for any crop. So you definitely want to get the fermento armor first and then upgrade your fermento artifact, but it's a new accessory, which is always a good thing. Then they did a bunch of stuff with stranded profiles, fixed a bunch of bugs there. But yeah, you can see Sam is by herself now. We've got Jacob over here and Anita over here. Depending on your barn, they'll be at different locations. We are currently using the red barn. I'm going to swap back to Sunny because I like it better. But now we get to the really good stuff. Like, I really like the farming stuff with this update. It makes farming a lot more interesting, a lot easier to get into, and a lot higher skill ceiling as well. Skill ceiling, really it's an equipment ceiling, but still. They did a bunch of QOL changes, but I'm just going to go over the big ones. They made the seal of the family and that whole accessory line soulbound, as well as all the quest items from Romero and Juliet quest. So you can't just get it on one profile, trade it to another profile, and then get the completed quest done there, or just trade your accessories over. Now you've got to grind them yourself because they're soulbound. Now when you fillet things at Odger, it used to be if you had like a full inventory of trophy fish and you go up to Odger to fillet your item, you fillet it, your inventory instantly becomes full of magma fish and your stash also becomes full of magma fish. Now if you fillet items at Odger, let's just take an example. Let's say I have like a stack of corrupted fish. I fillet them. Instead of my inventory becoming full, it will automatically convert the magma fish into silver magma fish. So instead of you getting thousands and thousands of regular magma fish, it'll transfer every 80 magma fish into a silver magma fish, just like the crafting recipe is. So your inventory is not going to be full of magma fish now, and you won't have to go through the process of picking up your stash, crafting into silver magma fish, selling it, crafting into something, whatever you do with it. Big QOL. They also made it so that as a tank in dungeon, the seismic wave ability, which is like the little wave that you get to do like every 10 or 15 seconds, it is now going to break crypts on top of everything else. So not only does it do a ton of damage, it will now break crypts, so you're not going to have to use so many super booms as a tank, which really was a problem as a tank, just because as a tank you don't really kill the mini bosses, so you're not getting your super booms back. So you always had to buy them from your party members or off the auction house or from NPCs, whatever. So now you don't have to do that, which is a big deal. And now the best QOL chain they have made in so long. I have been asking for this for ages. The clownfish collection now has 2 new collection sections, which is first off 8 SkyBlock XP, but more importantly 6 more slots in your sack of sacks. So now I don't have to spend gem to fit every sack in the game into my sack of sacks. I used to have to sit 3 sacks in my inventory at all times, which made it extremely annoying to do dojo, because if I ever wanted to do dojo, I had to go and throw the sacks in a chest on my island, then clean out my inventory, take off my armor, go do dojo, come back, get the sacks back in my inventory. But now, if I want to go do dojo, it's still a bit of a pain, I won't lie. But the big thing is, I can just take off my armor, take off my equipment, throw it into this empty chest here, throw all my armor in here, and now I don't have to go to my private island, get rid of my sack, and I can just jump into the dojo if I want to. So, as you can tell, I'm very happy with that change. That is the best change that they made today, in my opinion. I could care less about the rest of the updates. That alone was bugging me so bad. But on top of that, they did a bunch of bug fixes. So there was a bug where if you had the alchemist on your garden and you like left the chunk that she was in or deloaded the chunk, like say I went over here and farmed over here and then I came back, reloaded the chunk, she wouldn't be here. They fixed that. The alchemist will always respawn here now, which is good. They fixed Terry on the Jerry Island not unlocking properly in your visitor section, so that's a good one. You can unlock him now. They added Jake's plushie to the skyblock guide, so now if we go into our skyblock guide, you can see in the intermediate section there is Jake's plushie, and there's also the Crappie talisman, so I'm gonna have to get my hands on that as well. And there was also apparently a bug with dupe detection, so that it detected when the blessing enchant procced off of your fishing gear, it detected that as a dupe. So they fixed that now. I don't know if anybody got banned because of that, but hopefully that is fixed now, and anybody who got in trouble because of that is unbanned. So good fixes all around today. W update. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And while you're there, be sure to leave a like and sub. I do plan on getting back into guide content soon. I just have so much footage of the Road to the Elite 500 series that I need to kind of slow it down a little bit. But once I stop bulldozing through levels, we'll make some more guides. Let me know what kind of guides you guys want to see, and I will catch you in the next one. God bless.